Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name's Chandra and thank you so much for joining me. Today's video is my monthly update for the month of February. Now, as I'm sure you've noticed, the background is different, which is yay because I have finally moved. That does mean that you'll be seeing some chaos in the background as I get organized and get my office decorated the way that I would like it to be. But from now on, there will be no more chaos. Well, I can't even say there won't be more chaos. There will be a different kind of chaos in the background, which remains to be seen. Secondly, I finally got the candles that I was talking about wanting for my writing, and I will be sharing those with you right now. So the first one that I have is this glorious Woodwick candle from Woodwick. And this one is sand and driftwood. It smells really nice and it's one of my favorites. I also got a new candle, I actually got two from this brand called Gray. This one is called Old Sport. I don't know if you can see it there. But a former coworker of mine started making candles and I was like, let us see what all this is about. Old Sport smells fabulous. I also got Amber and Honey, which has been absolutely delightful. And I got some wax melts. These are just regular Better Home and Gardens ones, and they're wild lavender linen. So I haven't started using those yet, but I plan to soon. The other candles, except for the Woodwick one, the other two candles, I have been using them pretty much nonstop. And of course, I still have my trusty winter scented candle right over here. So yay for candles, we are good to go. The next thing I wanted to mention for this monthly update, I'm just going to glance over here. Two more things, the books that I've been reading for this month, as well as the podcast that I've been working on. I'm getting ready for that to go live, so I have a lot more work to be done to have everything finished for that. I will be busy in the coming month, especially since in the month of March, I will be prepping for CampNaNo. Yes, I plan to do that. So I will be getting my ducks in a row for that over the next month. On to the books that I've been reading. I start off with Mother Knows Best, which is by Kara Peikoff, I believe. This book is really interesting. I've never read anything quite like it before. I would say it's a sci-fi thriller-ish. Sci-fi just because of some of the technology that they're using in the book. It is experimental technology and an interesting social dynamic. I don't want to talk too much about the book because the plot is interesting and I think it's fun as a surprise. So if you like thrillers and science-y stuff, definitely check it out. I did also notice some of the tropes used in the book, which I believe I mentioned in a review. Did I write a review? I did not write a review of this yet. I plan to, maybe. I don't know. I have feelings. I still think the book is worth reading and I very much enjoyed it, but it definitely gave me pause. Book number 2, Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. This is actually the first time I've read it. It's been on my to-read list since I started this long list of reading the classics, which, as I've said before, is very vague, but I also think it's well worth reading. If I had to describe Frankenstein's monster in one word, I would say his name is Kyle. It's not his name, obviously, but I digress. Liked the book. I mean, it's a classic. What's not to love? It just gave me a lot to think about. I will definitely be reading it again. I've seen so many versions, adaptations in film of Frankenstein's monster, as well as in plays, that actually reading the book was very different than what I expected it to be, so I would like to read it again now that my expectations have been adjusted. Book number 3, The Autobiography of Martin Luther King Jr., which is written by Martin Luther King Jr. The book is compiled by a family friend. Coretta Scott King requested this individual to pull together a number of works by Martin Luther King, some of his sermons, some of his notes and journals and stuff like that. So it's done very personally. I listened to it as an audiobook, which was really nice because I was able to hear audio recordings of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. as he spoke to people in churches and things like that. It was very grounding, I want to say. Maybe not just grounding, but that it really brought me into the moment and gave me a sense of presence, even though this happened, I want to say 50 years ago. It feels right. I feel like everyone, maybe they were born, I don't know how long ago it was. I'm not good with dates. It wasn't that long ago. Let's be real. It wasn't that long ago. I'd never read the book before, and for Black History Month, I've been trying to branch out. I know last month I read I Know Why the Caged Bird Sings by Maya Angelou, and I'm trying to bring in more authors of color, and especially around Black History Month, I thought it would be very important for me to have those already read. Book number 4 is Broken in the Will Trent series. It is also the 4th book in the series. The series is by Karen Slaughter. It is murder, mystery, thriller, I would say. I really enjoyed this series so far. I've enjoyed the characters. I like how the characters aren't totally reinvented, or I don't know. I feel like sometimes when you watch a series or read a series, they have to bring in new characters for everything and there's no continuity. Whereas with this series so far, there have been new characters who are introduced gradually, but one might be less prominent in one book and more prominent in another, so you get to follow each of them and learn a little bit more about their backgrounds, but they still stay in the story even if it's to a greater or lesser extent. I enjoy that. It makes the introduction more gradual while keeping the amount of information that we learn about each character fresh and interesting. I think especially since I'm working on writing a series that has so many characters, seeing how that can be done effectively is encouraging. I'm definitely not to this point yet where it's as clear and nailed down, but I've only written 2 books in the series, so this has been something I've been reading for maybe the last year, the last 9 months. I found it very interesting. I enjoy the series on its own, but I also find it helpful as far as my writing. So those are the 4 books that I've read this month. I'm reading another one. I'm rereading another one, which is Iced, and I talked about that in my top 10 books that I've read multiple times. I'm almost finished with that, so I'm sure I will finish that before the end of the month and maybe start on something else, but I haven't decided what I'm going to start on next. That's the other thing that I learned from trying to pick the books that I was going to read in advance, like I tried to do in January. That did not work for me at all. I read 1 or 2 books on the list. I think I may have mentioned that before, but I didn't enjoy that. I much more enjoyed words. I have enjoyed the process much more when I organically pick a book that I'm in the mood to read, and I just read it when I'm like, ooh, I want to read this. And sometimes I'll start to read something and I'll be like, I'm not really feeling this right now, and then I'll just set it down and move on to something else. So that's my update for the month of February. I've got a lot of new content coming for March. Maybe a series. I'm looking at doing a series. I think it'll be fun, and we'll see how it goes. So thank you so much for joining me. Hopefully all of this in the background will come together and I'll have a much more concrete space and setup, so I won't be kind of off the cuff all the time. But I look forward to seeing you next time, and I'll see you in the comments. Bye.